All right, NFL Week 15, early bets, early leans, early things to consider. I already did guess the spread over on my TikTok. It's time to make some bets. One that I did and guess the spread, the line was 2.5. And from doing guess the spread to this video now, the line is ticked up to 3. And I'm buying at 3, and that's the Tampa Bay Buccaneers getting 3 at the LA Chargers. I would wait if you don't have a minus 110. There's one out there as I look right now, but make sure it's minus 110 this early in the week. I don't think there's any sense of paying more juice than the minus 110 on the 3 for Tampa Bay. But to me, I think it's the Chargers have been, they've had a tough couple of weeks scheduling wise, excuse me. And I think this is a good spot for Tampa Bay and not a great spot for the LA Chargers. You know, LA had that, they went to Atlanta on the short week and they were lucky to get a win there. And then Kansas City, huge divisional game, that you get up for it and the heartbreak. Now you go back home, you have a Tampa Bay team that's coming in that I think is totally game as an underdog here of 3. The Chargers, it's one of the weaker home fields in the NFL. And so, yeah, I think Tampa Bay here, this number at 3, it's one of those ones where it's like the Chargers, if you got the minus 2.5 at minus 110, I'd be like, yeah, that's a fine bet. But Tampa Bay at plus 3, minus 110, I think that's a great bet. So I just think 3 is too much there on a neutral field. I have it a little tighter than that. Another one that I'm looking at that I grabbed here, and the line's moved, but I still think there's value on the money line, and that's Green Bay, minus 148 on the money line. I got it minus 135. I'd like it to about minus 152. Them going to Seattle here. I think, again, we're talking about spots here. This Green Bay team, they get an extended rest here because they played Thursday night against the Lions. Tough loss in the division. But now you go to Seattle, and Green Bay to me is about as good of a team as you would want in a road short favorite scenario because they can run the ball well. I think their defense is continue to be impressed by their defense. I think it's better than what they get credit for. I just see this Green Bay team. That is kind of the recipe to win on the road. They're not going to be phased if it's a chilly kind of raw day in Seattle. I don't want to bet Green Bay at minus 3, but if you don't want to bet the money line, 2.5, I guess is fine with me. But I think the money line right there, like I said, it has some value. Seattle coming off the big divisional win against Arizona. Again, this is, non-divisional game here. I think Green Bay with the rest advantage late here is primed to be a good road team. And another one that I grabbed here, it's moving a little bit as we do this, but I like the Cleveland Browns. I got them plus 6.5. What I'm looking at right now, I bet it. I like them plus 6 as well. If you can get plus 6 on the Cleveland Browns, this Kansas City team, they just don't cover spreads, especially spreads of 3.5 or more. This is now 7 games in a row where the Kansas City Chiefs haven't covered. It's the longest streak in Andy Reid's career. They continue to win. I like the idea of they keep continuing to get, I guess, faulty results. They keep winning by these insane margins. It seems like every week they want to play a game that's even closer than the week before. And in Cleveland here, I know Jameis Winston's probably going to throw an interception, but I'm getting 6.5 at home off of, KC here with another just euphoric type of victory that came all the way down to the wire. Now you go to Cleveland, who has proven that they can be dangerous. I know that they kind of got shredded by Pittsburgh, but this Kansas City team, if you've been paying attention, they don't really shred defenses in the way that Pittsburgh was able to do against Cleveland this past week. So Cleveland, they're getting points. I'd bet it to 6. That's it. And then we can go from there. But some of the more marquee games that I think are worth talking about, obviously, one of the bigger ones, I'd say the biggest one of the weekend, is going to be Buffalo at the Detroit Lions. I'm looking at the spreads at 2 right now. I think it was 2.5 on open, and I would just caution with both sides here. And this is why I didn't bet Thursday night Detroit Green Bay, is because I just feel like it's a tough spot for Buffalo, and Detroit is banged up still, even though they get the extended rest. Detroit still has some injuries, especially when you talk about the D line. They never were able to, I guess, get the production of Hutchinson back since that happened. So that worries me a little bit. And the way that I just saw the Rams shred the Buffalo defense, I totally can see Detroit doing that. So probably a high scoring game. To me, I think this line's just correct, and I don't love an angle either way, right? Buffalo played at home against San Francisco in that snow game. To LA, now to Detroit. Yeah, I don't love the spot for Buffalo. And like I said, injuries on Detroit. So before you dive into that game, that's something I would certainly pay attention to. Another one of the marquee games here, that I think is worth talking about. Miami at Houston. This was 2.5 on open. Now it sits at 3. I just think it's, if you get, I would have to pull up Tua in a dome, but I think situations like this would actually, be good for Tua. But I am concerned about the way that I just saw Aaron Rodgers and the Jets offense play against Miami. I think at 3, that line's correct. It's like, again, I think it's similar to the Tampa Bay LA Chargers handicap. It's like 2.5 on Houston -110. I don't mind it. And then Miami +3 -110. I wouldn't mind it either. That's what I'm staying away from for now. I know I said that, like, oh my God, are they going to make me bet this? Are they going to make me bet this? And I was talking about Jacksonville getting 3.5 at home against the Jets. It's moved to 3.5 -115, 3 at some shops. I was just like, too late to react. I'm interested to see him where that settles, because I still don't want to play the Jets as a favorite against anyone. They're I was impressed by the way they played against Miami, but I felt like that was more about Miami than it was about the Jets. So those are a couple ones I'm looking at right now. Oh, I want to tell you one more here. Indianapolis at Denver. Indy sharps continue to try and fade Denver, and a lot of sharps continue to play on Indianapolis rather, as an underdog. The big thing here, you got to pay attention to Indianapolis's defense. We're going to have to look at the numbers of Bo Nix, of how he plays against zone coverage. And this line immediately got hit 4.5 down to 4, Indianapolis. I cannot bet Indianapolis until I know for sure that their defense can hold up. That was a mistake I've made earlier in the year, talking about the difference between Flacco and Anthony Richardson. Like, I think the biggest thing with Indianapolis is their defense. So they play a lot of that soft zone. How does Bo Nix do against zone coverage? That'll be, to me, the most important handicap in that game. It's Monday morning, so I haven't been able to dive into it too closely. And then looking at Pittsburgh and the Philadelphia Eagles, this line opened up, I think 5.5. And I look across the board here, I see 5s, I see 5.5s, and I see 4.5s. Tomlin as a dog. We all know that is the time to play on Tomlin. The question is this a bad matchup for Russell Wilson? He's been tremendous throwing those deep balls, but we know this Philadelphia secondary has improved. That is a matchup that I will be diving into this week to see if, in fact, I have confidence in the Steelers doing such a thing. But that's week 15. Those are the things I'm monitoring. Again, the bets I said, I like Cleveland +6.5 down to +6. I like Tampa Bay +3, but you got to get -110. Otherwise, you can wait. And Green Bay, I like on the money line up to -152. Enjoy your week 15. It's getting good. The games mean more. It's exciting stuff.